Okay, I'm back.
Okay, Eric, can you hear me now? Yay! I had to unplug and plug again. Thank you. And you can see the title screen? Awesomeness. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. We're going to get started in a few minutes. There's a ton of people that are trying to get on right now. So just hang tight.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay, we're at the 2-minute mark, so get ready, have something to write with, because we're going to get started at the top of the hour. So I am here, and I know some of you have sent in that you can see me, and you couldn't hear me, but I'm hoping you can hear me now. So as soon as we get started, I'll ask you all to just chime in. Less than 2 minutes. Yippee! Okay, so while we're waiting, if you can hear and see me, just say yes and yes, and let me know where you're here from, because there's people from all over that are coming in for this session. So just let me know where you're from so I can say hi to everyone. Hello, Seattle. And Florida. Yikes, Michigan, Huntington Beach, California. Bridgewater, New Jersey. I was born in New Jersey, just so you know, Eric. Okay, we're down to 15 seconds, and then we're starting at the top of the hour. So let's do a countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and here we go. So I just want to make sure I want to respect your time because you were here on time, and I know there's people that are trying to get on. So they will come on, excuse me, they'll come on as they can. But I want to thank you all for being here, and special thanks to Matt and Insurance WebEx for giving me the honor and the privilege to actually talk to all of you today. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I want to make sure that you're on the right presentation. It's about everyone is not your customer, and how to get your prospects to remember you, because this is the fun part about how we make sure that people come back over and over again to do business with you. So for those of you that told me where you're from, thank you. For the new people that are just hopping on, if you want to make sure that, if I want to make sure that you can hear and see me, just let me know where you're coming in from. Okay, so let's move this out of the way. And I am your support system. So for those of you that don't know me or didn't check out my bio, I've been in this industry for over 30 years. And I started out like everybody else as a producer, as an advisor, and worked my way up to agency manager, where I actually had 3 different agencies at the same time in 3 different states. I recruited a ton of people, and what I did find out was that there was actually a secret to how people would stay, and it was all about building relationships and getting referrals. And so I did my own thing and created a playbook for all of my advisors. What I do now is I have a company called Selling in a Skirt, and for those of you that thought you had to wear a skirt today, wrong, and we're going to talk about that. But I actually am an international speaker, I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, I'm a radio show host, I'm an author, but really what I want to do is I want to bring out the best in people and make sure they're as successful as they want to be, whatever that definition is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to turn off my camera so you can concentrate on the information, and I'll come back on at the end. If you have questions, there is a chat box. You can always put the questions in there. So let me just stop my video. Okay. So let's make sure we have everybody on. And let's get the chat box open. Okay. So make sure you can still hear me. Just somebody say yes. Because when I turn off the camera, sometimes it doesn't work the right way. Everybody hear me? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so here we go. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about your target market. We're going to talk about the circles of influence, strategic partners, how do you find everybody, and what really makes you stand out, because that's the fun part of how to get your customers to not only know you, but to remember you and to keep coming back. So with that said, I hope you have something to write with, because I got lots to talk to you about. Now, I know as well as you know that we have a ton of challenges in this industry, as in so many others. We find how we're going to find new clients, lead generation, closing business, sales in general, time management, and so many other things. And that's why I've always worked with a system. And I'm not sure about you, but for me, having a system is making things much, much easier. So I'm going to share mine with you. And for those of you that thought you had to wear a skirt, nothing to do with the skirt. So here's my formula for success. The S is standing out. How do we stand out in this crazy world, noisy world? The K is keys to success. The I, inspiration. The R is results. And the T is time management. Now, of course, we don't have lots and lots of time together, and we have a limited amount, but I want to talk to you about the letter S, because to me, this is where we start it all. So let's talk about S. Take a look at this picture and tell me, who do you notice more? Do you notice all the birds that are hanging together, or do you notice the one that isn't? And a lot of times we always say, like, why do you want to fit in when you were born to stand out? Well, that's what you try to do, is how do you notice more? Because when you stand out, that's a perfect example of someone or something standing out. And it comes in so many different flavors. But I want to tell you a little story and see if it gives you a good picture about standing out. So have you ever heard this word, lagniappe? It means a little something extra. And all it means is, what do you do to get yourself a little bit famous? It's that extra special position that you put yourself in that makes you different than the competition. So the story is called What I Learned at the Drugstore When I Was 6 years old. Saturday arrived. My allowance, 25 cents, was always the highlight of my day. As predictable as the sun rising every morning, I would jump on my bicycle and pedal furiously 5 blocks to the corner drugstore and watch alertly outside the door until a certain clerk was available. And when she was, I would dash in, put my nickel on her counter, and request a 1/4 pound of Jawbreakers. Now, from the big glass container, she scooped out exactly 4 ounces of Jawbreakers onto the scale. And then, with a smile, she would dip into the jar and pluck out 1 more. 6 years old, not a lot of years to understand marketing, pricing, packaging, or competition, but I did understand that this clerk stood out from the rest. Everyone in my world knew her, and we diligently steered others to her counter. She was the clerk who gave customers a little bit extra, and in return, she had become a little bit famous. So what makes you stand out and unique? And why do people want to do business with you? And what would you do that's different that makes people come back again and again? So just imagine when you're selling insurance, when you're providing financial stability, whatever it is that you're doing, what would make somebody come back again and again and bring their friends and bring their family? Well, some of us as entrepreneurs, we would be the ideal client. Then we say, like, who is your ideal client for me? And a lot of us will say, everyone. And why? That can't be true because not everyone needs anything or everything. And marketing experts say that the narrower the niche, the stronger your business will be, as long as the niche that is accurate and reflects your authentic need. Okay, so when I'm holding a training, it just went a little too far. Okay, when I hold a training or I hold a workshop, I always ask that question, who's your market? And some say they are insurance, some say everyone. And I would say that that pendulum needs to swing a little more towards the center. And as Seth Godin says, everyone is not your customer. So there's not anything in this universe that everyone needs and or that everyone will purchase. And many of us want to include everyone into that lump sum of people that we consider our ideal person. And we end up spinning our wheels trying to create a perfect products that suits everyone. And unfortunately, women are the most guilty of this because we don't want to leave anyone out. And we end up concentrating on those that don't have a need and don't buy from us, but it's hard to take that to the bank and pay our bills. So, who, what, how, and why. These are there some identifying some specific characteristics of those people that you want to serve and support and that will buy from you. So who are they? What are they looking for? How can you market to them? And why do they need you anyway? And you have to be able to describe that in detail and be able to tell someone else who they are. You're at a networking event. Someone asks you who you serve. Can you describe them? And it can't be everyone. It can't be anyone with money. It can't be anyone that needs insurance. When you let people know who your target audience is, they can make introductions for you. When you say everyone, the conversation is no longer relevant. So you have to be able to answer a few questions about your perfect person or your ideal client or whomever you want to identify that at. What do they look like? How do they behave? Who are they? How do they relate to the problem that you solve? There's so many questions that you can ask, but that's a really good starting point. And when your market is more targeted, you have a better focus on who you serve and what your message is. Now, I just did a huge training class, all for insurance advisors, producers, and everyone in that room decided that their market was everyone. Well, it can't be everyone. So what they say is they're trying to become the expert in one of the niches. Now, we all know that as entrepreneurs, we are shiny object people, and we want to be the best to everyone. But when you're trying to accomplish that, you find that it's not working. You have to be able to aim your target and your products and your service to the group that likes you, that really likes you and wants to do business with you. So you'll know where to network, you'll know where to meet people, where to have a presence on social media, and what experience is right for you to deliver to. So who's in your sandbox? This is my favorite picture because when we were little, what happens if you didn't want someone in your sandbox? You kicked them out, but you also brought people in. So you have to identify who you want in your sandbox and who you can send along to someone else. And just because someone or some group of people are the buzzword doesn't mean you have to work with them. So let's start out with some rules of engagement. Okay, so here is rule number 1. You have to own your title. When you have an idea who your ideal client is, you need to become the expert in that area. You have to know everything about them. You have to know where to find them. You have to know what they like to read. Who are their thought leaders? That's all about them. Now, what about you? Wouldn't it be great if you were the expert? And when you do that, it makes you stand out from the rest of the people that are trying to do business in your niche. Your uniqueness, your brilliance, everything shines, and people are looking for you for solutions, and they share you with their friends and their colleagues. And those very expensive free leads are also known as referrals. You have to be the expert and you have to wear the title. And if I asked each of you what you're the expert in, you should be able to say it, but you also have to own it. So whether it's an industry or a market, you have to say, I am the expert in. So let's say you're doing something and you're talking about a disability insurance. I am the expert in disability insurance. I am the expert in long-term care. I am the expert in health insurance for individuals, whatever that is. And when I worked with a PR firm, when I first started my company, they put me on every talk news radio show that there was, and one of the hosts dubbed me the gender expert. So guess what title I own, and I wear it proudly. So become it and own it. Okay, rule number 2, walking ambassadors. Now, if you don't know what a walking ambassador is, it's someone that recognizes that expert quality that you now own and wants to help you get your name out everywhere. They bring your name up in conversations and they share your name with everyone. And it's like having your own PR firm. Now, the secret to having walking ambassadors is to be one. So if you have someone that you respect and has high integrity and gets the job done, and you aren't afraid of giving their name out, simply ask, are you okay if I refer you to some of my connections? Now, I'm going to bet that the answer is probably absolutely, positively yes, but you can't ask with the hope of them offering that back to you. You ask because you believe that they truly are the expert in their field. And what generally happens is that when they see what you're doing for them, they're going to come around and ask if they can do it for you. So imagine how many people will remember you because your name is everywhere. And it's up to you to take that and live it up. And also make sure that what you promised, you're going to do. So think about an army of ambassadors that are promoting you. Wouldn't that be awesome for business? That would be great because people are talking about you as the expert in. Now, my referral system when I first began in this industry was we had no computers, we had no leads. My referral system was the Yellow Pages. And I want you to picture this. When I would come into the office, the manager would be standing there with the Yellow Pages and rip them into sections. And you were given a section of people to call. And it wouldn't matter if you wanted it or you didn't want it, if you were comfortable or not. It didn't matter. It was Yellow Pages, that's what you got. So one week I was given C for contractors, and I called every single one, no matter the size, no matter the name, and I told myself it was really good practice until I got it, because we knew nothing back then. And once someone said they were interested in hearing what I had to say and scheduled an appointment with me, I could tell another contractor in the field that I was going to see ABC Plumbing, and the cycle began. Now, here's what happened. I had an appointment with a mason contractor, and when I showed up at his job site as requested, I met his first pretest, doing what I said I was going to do. Then I explained everything to him from the hatchback of my car, and that was the second pretest, helping him understand what he was going to be purchasing and not talking just for the sake of talking. And finally, when he asked me to come back, I did, and I wrote his family and his brother's family. Now, there's a whole bunch more to the story, but the bottom line is, I came back, I wrote his entire team of masons. I was referred to the framers, the drywall installers, the plumbers, the electricians, you name it. Whatever came in whatever order, I was there. And I spent well over a month at his job site. I became the insurance agent of choice. I got so many referrals that I never had to look back at those Yellow Pages again. And my entire business was 100% referrals after that. I became the expert for contractors. See how it works? Now, I also want you to start thinking about who you want to meet or what group of people you want to serve and support, because we are no longer 6 degrees of separation. We are only 2. If you don't know someone, ask, because we are 2 degrees of separation and someone in your circle knows exactly who you are looking for. And sometimes people will say to me, well, I want to meet so-and-so's boss. Well, the so-and-so is the person that you know. So make sure you understand that. Put it out there. Someone you know in your circle knows that person or knows somebody in that circle itself. So I want you to ask yourself, do you actually know what you're selling? Don't take that lightly, because you do need to have product knowledge or have someone you can call to get the correct answers. The second is, do you have resources and relationships that you can count on? Every single person you meet is the beginning of a relationship. The third is, are you walking ambassadors spreading rumors about you in a good way? And then also, do you know who you are, what you are, and why anybody would want to choose you? Remember, you're the expert. You do what you say you'll do and under-promise and over-deliver. That's the rule. Because the truth is, businesses don't do business, people do. So make sure you're interested in the people you're doing business with. Be interested, not interesting. It's a huge difference. Then also remember that this is all built on relationships. You have to remember that this industry and this business is based on relationships more than almost any other. So you build relationships before you need them, because when you need them, it's too late. You won't have time to build them. Okay, rule number 3, strategic partners. Now, this is definitely another way to stand out. Who are your strategic partners? These are the people that are in your preferred space, who are doing business with your ideal clients, and they will complement you, not compete with you. So think about all the kinds of people that you know that are doing business with your perfect person. When I was providing life and health insurance, I always had a PC agent that I could refer people to. And when we were highly underwritten for health insurance, I had an agent that did guaranteed issue policies. I had a CPA that worked with entrepreneurs, and since I wrote only individual policies, I had attorneys and realtors and you name it, the people that did the same thing with the same group, entrepreneurs. And we became referral kings and queens because we knew the space and we knew the people. So start to think about who you could be your strategic partners and team up with them. Who's going to say no to referrals? I don't think anybody. Rule number 4, your centers of influence. Now, of course, your centers of influence are people that can help you build your business and bring people to you. So if I asked you who your center of influence is, the answer could be almost anyone. And that is the truth. Someone in your church or your temple, someone that's involved with a business group, or possibly a mason contractor who believed in what you did and simply asked if you would show up. It doesn't have to be somebody famous. It's someone else that knows everyone is not your market, and they'll help you stay in your lane as the expert. And then rule number 5 is your wish list. Now, some of my friends call it the chicken list because it's people who are influencers, but you may think that they're out of your league or whatever else we tend to tell ourselves. So here's what I want. I want you to make a list of people that you wish you could work with, that you want to speak to, that you want to be introduced to, and go back to that 2 degrees of separation. Someone in your circle knows them and are happy to introduce you to them, but they didn't know you were looking. And by the way, that's the biggest challenge. People don't know who you're looking to speak to. Now, I needed someone to write the foreword for a book that I was writing, and it had to be female with a lot of influence with other women because the book was an anthology with 26 other women. And I was telling a group of friends my dilemma, and one of the men in the group said, "Do you know this woman who was in charge of a huge women's conference?" And I said, "I heard of her, but didn't really know of her." And he picked up the phone and he called her. And she answered, and this was the exact conversation. "Michelle, Jim, I have a friend who needs a favor." And he handed me the phone. Guess who wrote the foreword for my book? So I challenge you to reach out to the top 3 people on your list and see what happens. The worst that can happen is that they say no. That's it. And I always say, next, and move on. So does anybody have somebody that's on their chicken list or their wish list that they want to put out there, because there are people that are on this presentation that just might need to answer you back and say, I know someone like that. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to just put somebody on the list. You never know who knows someone. Where's my brave people? Someone the other day asked to meet one of the New York Giants, and someone in the room's brother knew the sister of one of the Giants. There you go. Okay. If you put it out into the universe, it will come. Okay, so those are my 5 rules of engagement. So let's see why they're so important to not only make you stand out in your own market instead of being, being someone to everyone, but it will also make you memorable. So the first one is to wow them. You have to over-deliver regardless of the size of the business. You have to make sure that, as simple as it sounds, show up, do what you say, and if you can't do something, don't say you can. And of course, you have to be available. Now, I'm not saying 24/7, but if someone calls you or texts you or emails you, you have to respond within a reasonable amount of time. There's nothing worse than having a client feel like you took their time and their money and that's it. Now, remember how clients like to be communicated with as well. Some like a quick text, and some like a more personal phone call. So know your demographics. If you're talking to somebody that likes to text and you don't, you have to make a compromise as well. I'm not a lover of having somebody text me if I don't know who they are and if they're not in my phone, but that's me. So just know who your clients are. Because here's what happened. The results are actually in. When you wow people and you deliver what you promise, here's what happens. Referrals. Now, they are, again, like they're the most expensive free lead you'll ever get or ever give. But that 92% works two different ways. According to Nielsen, 92% of consumers trust the recommendations that are given to them over any other type of advertising. But there's also has another meaning. When you work with women, 92% of women will refer people, companies, businesses, you name it, who they trust and have a relationship with, and they will refer them out to their friends and their family. So that brings me to a few little factoids about the female market. How many of you work with the female market? Put that in the chat box. Okay, so Gian, I see you work with the female market. Anybody else work with the female market? Both, and seniors. Okay, who else? Anybody think that working with women is a little bit different than working with men? Okay, so I am going to give you some interesting factoids. So as an added bonus, since I have male and female on the call, I thought this might be a few interesting facts about when you work with women that just might help you in that space, whether you're male or female. So did you know that women make up 90% of healthcare choices and 68% of new car purchasing decisions? And did you know that women influence 85% of all consumer purchasing decisions? And women spend 68% of all total online spending. Women are a huge, huge market. And whether you're male or female, you have to be able to communicate with them. Because if you have customers that are women, 52% of women prefer face-to-face meetings when they're buying life insurance. 52%. That's a lot of women. And I want to say that buying life insurance, like any other insurances, it is a relationship. Now, if you go to Insurance WebEx, I gave you a little short link because it's a lot easier. If you want more insight into the female market about how you can actually do business, it's called How Financial Advisors Can Embrace the Differences Between Men and Women and Improve Their Bottom Line. That's the link, and there's lots of really good information about men and women. And this is a huge market for us. So whether you're male or female, this is going to be something that you should look into. So grab that link, and I'll wait a couple of seconds. Okay, so many things changed in social networking. If you look at this, it's just a funny little thing that they show. Oops, sorry. I don't know why it keeps jumping. Okay, it's just a funny little thing that they show about what used to be and what is and how it works. You know, Pinterest is your bulletin board and YouTube is your screen and LinkedIn is your Rolodex. So a lot of things have changed, but the truth of the matter is there's a lot of things that haven't changed. And so 86% of consumers who start to use the internet to look up information about the policies, they do that, but they still want face-to-face sales. 16% of consumers would prefer to buy insurance completely online, which means the balance want to see you in person. Social media is about building relationships. The industry is about building relationships. So while all the relationships are built through a computer, they're certainly not meant to stay there. And when I hear people doing all their sales over the phone, yes, or the computer, you can build a relationship, but think about how powerful it is when you're actually doing it in person. So here's the other piece. A lot of people ask me, how do you retain clients? And one way is to provide them with a few products from your portfolio. So according to a survey done, retention is much higher with the more products a client owns. Now remember, people don't know you have all these products unless you tell them. If you don't show it, the answer is always going to be no. And if you're looking for another way to stand out and to have people remember you, it's about retention. Retention is based on the number of products that you actually own. And when we were selling life insurance, we would always have a higher retention than when we were selling health insurance. It's just a different kind of animal. But when you sell 2 or 3 products, 4 or 5 products, it's very hard to replace them if somebody comes in behind you. So retention stays a lot longer. Don't forget some of the products that you might not have shown, or perhaps of some new ones in your bag of offerings. Make sure you let people know what you have. Which brings me to the last part of this presentation before we open it up for questions. And this is finding some extra business. Now, whether you're trying to finish the last quarter on a real high or you're formulating your plans for next year, here are some ideas for you to drum up business and have customers remember you. How many of you have a goal for the end of this year? By the end of December of 2017, you have a goal that you want to reach. Carol's got a goal. Okay, so what if we find some hidden business right now that you can also continue into 2018? So here's the first one. You have to be consistent. You have to be consistent. If you are on social media or you're sending out newsletters, you have to be consistent. If you do it once or twice and you're upset because nothing's happening, you're not giving it a fighting chance. Now, of course, you don't want to go the other way and be in people's faces every day, all day, but you have to be consistent. There's scheduling tools that you can use to make it easier. Now, for me, I post every single morning before 7 a.m. And if I don't, I'll get emails asking if I'm okay. That's how consistent I am. I also post something in the evening. Now remember, the new way the analytics are all set up, not everyone sees your post. So even if you share the same post morning and evening, chances are most people won't see it 2 times. But be consistent because people will look for you and they will remember you. Now some people ask, like, what do you talk about? I always talk about something that is happening in my world. So whether it's doing a presentation or whether it's offering somebody coaching or whatever it is, I have a secret with my cousin Google. All I do is I look up Google images about how I'm feeling, and that's what I post about. But you can do things about what time of year it is or what month it is. Every month there is Awareness Month. If you Googled awareness calendar, as somebody that's in the financial arena, somebody that's doing life insurance, somebody that's doing health insurance, somebody that's doing almost any kind of insurance, you go onto the awareness calendar, there is something there. Like October, obviously, we all know is breast cancer awareness. Why can't you promote something about a product that you have without saying the product? Remember, I'm not a compliance officer. You have to do things that are in compliant. But you can talk about breast cancer. There's also childhood cancer. There's heart disease. There's all kinds of things that you can talk about, like making sure that you're protecting families. So be consistent. Make sure what you're doing is consistently done. So that's the first one. The second thing is, for me, when I was on the road at the height of my insurance career, I knew the only secret was activity. That's it. So I had developed something that was working for me because I knew the more activity you had, the better your chances were for gaining a new client. And it had to be something that was easy, so I came up with the system that I called the 100-point system. And we have used this since 1990, when I first thought of it for myself. And of course, we've updated it and everything else. But everything I do have points attached to it, and nothing has too many points, because the goal is to have 100 points a day. So at the end of the day, when I was pulling into my driveway, I'd look at my score sheet, and if I didn't have 100, I would back out, and I would drive away until I had 100 points. Now, if you did 100 points for 5 days a week, for 4 weeks a month, can you just imagine the activity that you would have and what would happen to your business? So if you want a copy of the point system, I'll send you a copy so you can have it and you can adjust it to whatever you want to do with it. But I am telling you, it is actually something that it was critical for my success in writing business and having clients because I had so much activity. I always had activity. Now, we didn't have a lot of networking events. Networking events can be something that you can actually add to your activity. Yep, so if everybody wants the report, just let me know and I will absolutely send it to you. Okay, so here's the next thing. How many of you know the 80-20 rule? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to turn that 80-20 on its head. That's what we're going to do. Because if 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customers, what happens to the other 20? Where's that? I mean, where happens to the other 80%? You're working with 20%. Where's the other 80%? So why not start on that list of 80% of the people that you didn't do business with, that haven't bought anything from you or haven't bought in a long time, and contact them. Things change, circumstances change. It's worth the time and it's worth the effort. Now, I'm thinking that because everybody is in the insurance world, a lot of you, I bet, are doing policy reviews. Well, there's also people that you haven't sold anything to in years. Maybe there's a new baby. Maybe there's a change in marital status. You never know. You have a gold mine in your database. You just need to work on it. And if you have a CRM system, that should be able to help you. If you don't, I don't care if you use Excel spreadsheets, but think about all the people you're not doing business with. 80% of the people you're not doing business with, how about if you just go after them? It is amazing how things happen when you actually talk to somebody. Somebody might just be on the verge of calling you anyway. Let's pretend that you have 2.5 months left at the end of the year. Go after that 80%. It's low-hanging fruit. Now here's another one. Since we're all in sales, and we are all in sales, when did the word maybe come in? Sales is either yes or it's no. We're not sure where maybe came from. So go back to the people that didn't make that decision, that keep saying, not yet, I'm not sure, I still have to think about it, whatever you want. Go back to them and find out if you can get a yes or a no. A no is better than anything because you can move on. But go back to the people that have not given you an answer. And you know, the other part of that is you're now refreshing their memory about you. They might remember that you were pretty awesome, they just didn't need you at that time. There's another way for you to stand out and be remembered. And thank you. These two little simple words mean so much. How many of you are writing thank you notes? If you are writing thank you notes, congratulations, keep doing it. If you're not, start writing thank you notes, because what's easier than saying thank you to somebody? I know it sounds ridiculous and it sounds juvenile, and why doesn't everybody understand that? But people don't do it. Now here's the other piece of that. The people that you do not sell, you need to write a thank you note for, because they have given you their time, and there is nothing more valuable than time. And you had theirs for an hour or two. I got more referrals from people I didn't write business with because I took the time to work with them. Now those two little tiny words, that goes a long way, and yes, people remember that. So now advisors always say, well, what about an email instead of a handwritten thank you note? Does that work? The bottom line is you need to do something. And if you choose to do an email over nothing, awesome. That's the right choice. I love handwritten notes because it does give you one more dimension of standing out. And that one more little piece could be all it takes for somebody to decide to do business with you. So like anything else, you have to be smart. You have to be smart with your goals, whether it's financial, whether it's marketing, doesn't matter. And make sure your goals are as specific and measurable and achievable, realistic and timely. And use this for everything that you're doing. If you're doing financial goals by the end of the year, make them smart. If you're doing marketing goals, make them smart. You have to be able to see what you're achieving. And you also have to see how close you are to your goals, or if you've already zoomed past it. If you don't have some way to track them, you won't be able to do it. Because in reality, it's all about results. It's all about numbers. In sales, it's numbers. It could be the number of sales, it could be the number of new clients, it could be dollars, it could be products, it could be anything, but it's all about numbers. And sometimes you feel like you may need a little bit of help, and don't be afraid to ask for help. That's why there's coaches and mentors and sales clubs, and coaches have coaches, and elite athletes have coaches. And a coach is objective and experienced and will hold you accountable. And that's what the results will bring you. So it's time maybe to invest in yourself. Hire a coach. It was the best thing I ever did, and I'm a coach. So I want you to look at this list, and I want you to check off the things that qualities that you have as an advisor, as a producer, as a manager. Do you have a mindset that's a problem solver? Are you self-motivated? Are you honest? Do you have high integrity? Do you hustle? Are you tenacious? Is your interest in protecting other people? Do you have an engaging personality? Do you have attention to detail? And do you understand what your market wants and needs? If you've checked all that off, then you have exactly the qualities to have the most successful business in this industry. That's the good news. So you have to make sure that these are the things that you are showing people. Remember the word expert. I am an expert in. The bottom line is you have to follow up. This doesn't matter anything we talked about, doesn't matter how you want to be remembered. If you don't follow up, that's going to be the death of anyone. Because the bottom line here is prospecting's prospecting, sales are sales, people are people. You're here to be memorable to your clients, old clients, new clients, while you're building relationships. Your goal is to always follow up with anything, and that means anything that you do. Because the truth of the matter is, if somebody asks you to send them something by the end of the day and you don't do that, why would they want to do business with you? Now here's the reality. 80% of sales are made on the 5th to the 12th contact with someone. And the savvier the client, sometimes the longer the sales process. Sometimes it's due to the economy, but chances are we don't always close on the first time like we want to. Do you know how easy it is to lose a sale because you didn't follow up? It's the most important part of the sales process. And what generally happens is after a certain number of touch points, you could get distracted with new prospects. And did you know that 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect? Simply by the act of following up, you'll set yourself apart from the rest of the pack. Because if you look at this slide, it's a very sad slide, considering that most people don't follow up. Maybe they do once, maybe they do twice. But if 80% of sales are made on the 5th to the 12th contact, you have to find different ways to stay in contact with your clients. So the question I have for you is, what can you do in 15 minutes? And you would be surprised what we can do in 15 minutes. What I want to offer you is 15 minutes with me, one-on-one, just the two of us, to focus on your #1 challenge when it comes to sales. You will be so surprised how a different pair of eyes and a different pair of ears can support you. Now, if you're interested, the link that you see on the slide right now is my calendar. Grab one of the openings, and once you do, we'll both be notified, and then it all begins. If you don't find a time that works for you, shoot me an email, and I'll try to be as accommodating as possible. I started opening up, it's October 24th is the first date, and then it goes forward from there. And again, if the dates aren't good for you, the times aren't good, let me know and I'll see what I can do. But I am telling you, I only offer this in the financial arena, and it is amazing some of the things that I pointed out. So here's what I always strive towards. The truth of the matter is women want to be treated equally, not identically. So for all of you women on the line, that's all we want to do, and congratulations for being here. For all the men on the line, thank you for being champions for the women. This is such an amazing industry, and it takes both men and women to be successful. So I'm going to open it up for questions. I'm going to come back on. Let me get my camera back. Okay, here I am. So questions for you for me, put them in the chat box, and I will be happy to answer them. And then I'm also going to show you how you can find me. These are all the different ways to find me. And again, the link on the bottom is my calendar, and I would be more than happy to assist any of you in one-on-one time with me. No charge to you, by the way. So, any questions? Okay, so let me move this over. Okay, I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see it. All right, so Carol says, how to deal with people you've worked with and then they won't respond to any more calls. Oh, gee, has that ever happened to anyone? Yes, they want everything you want, that you have, and then it's crickets, right? Okay, so here's one of the things that I've done. Yeah, I get that, Carol, because it's happened a lot. So remember the slide that showed like, you know, people don't respond until like the 5th or the 12th. You can't keep calling people and say, do you want to do business with me? Do you want to do this with me? When can we meet for coffee? So what I always tell people is you should have an arsenal of articles. When you're doing your fact finding and people are telling you things, hopefully you're writing things down. Some of them can be, you know, personal crazy things like I like to travel, or I really want to learn how to cook, or whatever. And sometimes, you know, those are the things that you want to remember. So I always have an arsenal of articles, and I will find an article that said, oh, I hear that you want to travel. So I find an article about traveling, and I'm going to send it to you, and I'm going to say, hey, Carol, I saw this. I thought of you. Have a great day. That's it. You don't say anything else. Because what happens is that is a touch point. And they will say, wow, she sent me this. She didn't ask for business. Oh, I forgot to call her, or oh, I need to call her. So that's how it works. Now, if you want something for working with women, if you go to, I'm going to put it in the chat box, www.The Report for Women, it has 1 million articles for women in any industry. So men, women, it works for everybody. The Report for women.com. Oops, got to spell it right. So if you go there, you can actually find all different articles if you're looking for almost anything in any industry. If you're working for somebody in the direct sales industry, there's stuff there. If you're working for women in STEM, there's articles there. If you're working for women in our industry, there's articles there. You pull something down, you say, hey, Sheila, saw this article, thought about you. Have a great day. Nothing else. Okay, so those are touch points. Eventually, Carol, you have to get back on the track of asking for business again, but I'm telling you, you have to really, really push it back. Okay, how can I inspire confidence in myself, especially in a one-on-one setting? I'm new to the industry and there's a few years. Okay, let me just say that confidence is the biggest challenge for everybody right now. I don't know what happened. I don't know where the shift came in the universe, but every single time I do a talk, it's about confidence. So one of the things that I have to do, and I'm going to ask you I'm going to invite you all to watch my TED Talk, and it's on this slide right here, because if you want to talk about confidence or lack of it, watch my TED Talk. So here's the deal. I have tapes in my head for things that I can't, that happened, that I have to rewind all the time. And so before I walk in anywhere, I always talk about, you know, I'm pretty awesome. I can do this, no problem. And I talk to myself, not out loud, because I don't want people talking about me. But I do. I talk to myself, and I just know as I go in that this is going to be awesome. The person I'm meeting is going to really enjoy what I have to say, and I am going to enjoy them. So it really is about inspiring confidence. It is building up your self-confidence. In this industry, this is relationship 101. It really is. And it goes to relationship, you know, 909, because you're starting here, and as you grow with that person, they're growing with you. So don't worry about being new in the industry. If you don't know anything about the products, totally, you have people that'll help you with products. Anything else, you know, I'm more than happy to help you. So always, you know, you've got all my information here. Anybody else? How do you make my practice fruitful? Okay, so tell me what that looks like, Socorro. What does that mean? Give me some ideas. If you're talking about having more customers? Is that what you're looking for? More new clients? Because if that's the case, then what you want to do is you want to be able to have more activity. Oh, finding administrative assistants. Woo! Okay, so you have to find people that want to, number one, work in this industry with you, but number two, want to be able to continue relationships that you're starting. So find somebody that is like you. Find somebody that mimics what you do. You're going to go through a few of them until you find the right one. But once you find that person, you'll know it, because they're going to be able to, almost like in a relationship, they're going to be able to finish this, what you started. They get it. But you want somebody that is definitely a relationship-driven person. Okay, met with a woman recently for Medicare supplement. She signed up, canceled later, and she said she wanted to work with an agent closer to her. She's a couple of hours from me. Okay, you're welcome, Socorro. So, Sandy, sometimes there is nothing you can do about a reason that people cancel with you. There's nothing you can do about it. And when it comes to Medicare, that's a different animal. Generally speaking, that's the most, how can I say it? It's the actual demographic that the government is very strict with. And so when somebody says something to you, you almost have to just take it. And that's it, unfortunately. But what I would say is I would send her a note, or send, however you communicate with her, and just say, you totally understand, and you're here in case she needs any kind of support. Don't dismiss it so quickly, but don't go after her. Just say, I do understand it's a big decision, and I am here if you should need me, and be done. Don't hold that one, because it's not worth it. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Okay. Let's see. We'll be sending the slides. It's going to be on Insurance WebEx. So I believe that's how you can get it. And I believe it's going to be on replay. I sent her back her signed apps with a note. Yeah, that's good, Sandy. Any ideas for reaching consumers via social media without spending my days on less productive work, creating content? Okay, so I don't know what companies you all work for, but a lot of companies have their own special website and content that you can use that has gone through compliance. And so what I always tell, like I just did a whole thing with a company, and they have amazing information. So if you go on to your portal and look for information that has gone through compliance, articles, just take one of the articles and said, like, did you know? Again, it could be anything. Let's say, for the sake of argument, it's about, let's say you're a PNC, and let's say it's about the recent hurricanes. Did you know? Here's a checklist for what you need to do in case of a flood. That came off your portal. Once it comes from your portal, it's much easier because it's gone through compliance. You don't want to not do things that are compliant. Let me just say that. And most every company has information. Okay? Okay, I work primarily with seniors, mostly women. They don't do much on social media or even computers. That's true. So women are real relationship driven. What you have to do is, Sandy, I don't know what area you're in, but I'm in Dallas. And a lot of times what we did for you're Seattle. A lot of times what we would do for seniors is we would do educational seminars for seniors. And we would go into all the over 55 communities. I mean, you have to get permission and everything else, obviously. But we would do education. We wouldn't be selling per se. We would be doing education. And that's how you would get one-to-many. And it's a lot of women. It always is. It's a lot of women, but they all talk to each other. And then each one says, well, my sister lives here and my cousin lives there, and can you talk to this one and talk to that one? So if you can do something one-to-many, we've done it in libraries. We've done it like all over, because it doesn't necessarily have to be about Medicare. It can be something about, about women. Do something that's interesting to women. So it's all in one-to-many. Call me Sandy. I'm the expert in long-term care insurance here in Seattle, last 17 years. Okay, so Sandy, meet Carol. Carol, meet Sandy. And she's the expert in long-term care. There you go. And Sandy is an expert in the senior market. So see how this just worked? I see how it worked? I love when that happens. Yeah. So yes, education, not selling, is really important, and people will come and see you. Any other questions? Okay, so I totally appreciate all of your time. I will be here for a little while. I'll leave it open for a little bit, and I really thank you all for being here and spending time with me. And if there's anything I can do to support you, I do hope you will take the 15 minutes and give me the honor and the privilege of working with you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I will hang for a little bit, and we'll go from there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And don't forget to grab that article also. Let me go back to it a little bit. Oh, not as easy as I thought. And again, for those of you that want the 100-point system, oh, here it is, the 100-point system, make sure you just shoot me an email and just say 100 points. I will get it to Matt at Insurance WebEx and see if he can put it somewhere. But here's the article that I think you should also read if you're working with women, whether you're male or female. 3 hot tips in less than an hour. Wow. Thanks, Jan. Love that. Thank you, thank you. And don't forget, you know, as new as some of you are is as new as you won't be at the end of the week. Okay? And I say that not being, you know, not making a joke of it, but really every single day you learn something differently, and by the end of the week, you're not so new. So love this industry because it will love you right back. And there we go. And, oh, thank you, Sheila. I appreciate that. That's very sweet of you. Thank you. And honestly, it's always like coming home when I work with the industry because I feel like I'm with all my peeps. Where can we get your email? Right there. See where it is? Right there. Judy at sellinginnaskirt.com. It's on the screen right now. And when I send it to you, also remember that you can adjust it. It doesn't have to be what I do. It can be what you do. And don't give yourself too many points because you want to be able to build up your activity. That's the point. If somebody said, well, can I give myself 100 points for one activity? You can, but what's the point? I don't know. Can I put up the 100-point screen? Yikes. Okay, I'm going to escape this so I don't have to go through the whole thing. Hold on. Okay. So again, I would probably adjust this. I would probably not do 50 points for an appointment sold. I'd probably do that 25. I'd probably do appointments less. But again, you can do whatever you need to do, but the goal is 100 points. How do you do a repeat of the sales techniques webinar for agents you said you did last week? Oh, hope I do. Well, you know what? Every single time I do one, it's different. It is. It's always different. I might have slides that are similar, but either the stories are different, the examples are different. So I didn't do it here, Sandy. I was at a private event. But 2018, just look for me because we are already scheduling some for them, and I'll be back. You're very welcome. Okay, everybody, so I am going to shut this down. And again, if you need anything, please don't hesitate. I do hope you all take advantage of the 15 minutes. No, I don't. Thanks, Sandy. No, I don't do that. So Sandy just said that I wasn't selling my methods. I don't sell my methods. I have always been the #1 salesperson, but I never sold anything. I have conversations with people, period, end of discussion. I don't believe you have to sell. And if people want to know the secret to selling, stop selling. Have a conversation. Let people know you're interested in what they're doing. That's it. So with that said, please take advantage of the 15 minutes and let's have a conversation because it's always fun, it's always interesting, and people are amazed about somebody that steps back from your business. When you step back and I step in, I can help you with that one big thing. So, oh yes. Yeah, and I could do that, Sandy, easily, but that's not what this is. So that's it. All right, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I hope that you stay connected with me. Okie dokie.